At the front, it's most obvious that this is not a car with a standard combustion engine like the GLA. This must be electric because the whole grille is completely covered. And on top of this, you do find this light bar up here, which we already know from the new EQC. And then when you look at the headlamps, they always come standard with LED technology, but these feature this blue bar here on top, and that tells you this must be a complete electric vehicle. Looking at the front bumper, this one is regarding to the drag coefficient, again optimized, because that's a lot more important here than with a standard combustion vehicle. When you open the hood of the new EQA, you will not find a front or front trunk, because here you will instantly find the powertrain. And that means we do have an electric engine that features 140 kilowatt and 375 newton meters of maximum torque. And that power is delivered by a gearbox to the front axle. And Mercedes says that they will produce different models of that car, but they didn't say details. The only thing they promise is there will be models more powerful with more than 200 kilowatts, and there will be models with bigger batteries, and they then should offer a range of over 500 kilometers to drive. And if you want, and if you wait a little bit, you can also have that car as a four-wheel drive version that then features 2 electric motors, and then you have not only the power, you also have all-wheel drive and maybe even a bigger range. The boot capacity of our EQA is 340 liters with the rear seats up. If you fold them completely down, that increases up to 1,320 liters. That sounds quite nice, but if you compare that with the normal GLA, you do find that this is about 100 liters less in both situations. And when you look down here, yeah, that's very nice and flat, but the compartment here is so small there is only the cable that fits in there. As standard, the new EQA always features the minimum 18-inch alloys. Of course, they are optimized regarding to the drag coefficient, because that's an electric vehicle, but if you want, you can order up to 20-inch. And we're talking about the measurements of the car. It's very much the same as with the GLA. The only difference is in length, because that car with 4 meters 46 is about 5 centimeters longer, but with the same wheelbase. And then when you look at the side, the design, it's all the same. The only exception is this badge here, which tells you, yep, that is an EQA. We're on the road for quite a while now, so nearly 50 kilometers. And the consumption of our car looks quite nice. So we're talking about 18.6 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometer driven. That's not a bad number, and I didn't even check how much I use while driving. So I think that's more than fair. The interior of the EQA really looks very nice, and they do use materials like metal, they do use glossy black, they do have soft touch, and what they also show is rosé gold, which you do find here at the air outtakes. And that is something you formerly only found in Maybach cars, and then later they adapt that for the EQ family. And that's something really that makes the car look unique. And something very unique in our car is we do have seats in here which have a mixture out of fake leather and fabric made out of plastic bottles. So that's really an environmental friendly seat. The battery of the EQA features a net capacity of 66.5 kilowatt hours as a maximum. And of course you can charge that car as a standard wall box with 11 kilowatts, and that then takes you from 10 to 80%, 5 hours 45 minutes. A lot quicker is a DC quick charger, because that car can take up to 100 kilowatts, and then it takes 30 minutes from 10 to 80% of charging the battery. With the Mercedes app, you can charge your car at 300,000 different charging points in the whole of Europe. And from this year onwards, you can also use something that's called green charging, which means you have more environmental friendly power, and that then means you have about 175,000 charging points in the whole of Europe available. There are two things I don't like so much with the car. The first thing is you do have this auto recuperation mode, which basically works fine. But on the other hand, if you do drive in a hilly area, the car from time to time reduces the speed a lot when you lift the foot of the pedal, and sometimes it doesn't. And so you cannot really adjust yourself or your behavior while driving to that program. And the other thing which I don't like so much is with a front wheel powered car and that amount of power, the car I think is too powerful, because you get slippy tires when you push the pedal to the metal. And this is why I'm really looking forward having the all-wheel drive version to test that. The base equipment of the EQA is more than fair. And as you see in the list, there is a lot to explore. But of course, we're talking about a Mercedes, and so you can order a lot of little or less little things on top. But have a look into the list. There are loads of them, and each of them costs extra money. Our test car is featuring, aside of many other things, the optional head-up display. And that not only presents you as standard the actual speed you're driving or the speed you're allowed to drive, it also has an extra, let's say, meter, which shows you how much power the car is taking at the moment. And that really gives you a completely different idea of what you're doing with your car and when your car needs extra energy. And that may help you to adapt your drive.
The basic EQA offers, amongst other things, active lane keeping assist and brake assist. The list of the optional assistance systems includes a traffic sign recognition, an active distance assist, a parking assist, and many more. The so-called driver assistance package is particularly extensive. It basically offers all the necessary systems for semi-autonomous driving.
You can choose between different recuperation modes while driving the EQA. And that means you can have, while using the pedals here at the steering wheel, a lot of recuperation every time you lift your foot off the pedal, or you can have a feeling like driving a standard combustion car with an automatic gearbox. So nearly nothing. And on top of this, you can choose a mode which is called D-Auto. And that then chooses automatically the most efficient kind of recuperation, depending on the power you need and depending on the landscape and the drive. So now we're on the motorway with our EQA to see how the car works here. And the first thing I can tell you, it's still quiet in the car. You do hear some wind, but we're driving about 130 kilometers per hour already. What is changing is the consumption. That goes up, and so we're now above 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometer driven, but still something not unfair. For everybody who wants to know, the car can drive up to 160 kilometers per hour, and there it is electronically limited. But I think that's more than enough for an electric vehicle. The 140 kilowatt or 190 horsepower combined with 375 newton meters of our car are coming out of an electric engine. And that makes the world different, because you can have the power a lot more instant than you will ever get it from any combustion engine in the world. And so that car, even though it's a bit more heavy, can really be driven, quite dynamic, and can provide you with loads of fun. Because the battery, which is the most important part of the weight, is mounted in the lowest part of the body of the car, and that gives you a very low point of gravity. But on the other hand, if you really drive quick, and if you really want to do hard cornering or hard braking, you of course then feel the weight, because that always wants to go straight forward or to the outside. That's what weight does. Every time you drive in a battery electric vehicle, you instantly recognize it's so quiet inside of the car. The only thing you hear a bit are the tires, and that's really it. And that really makes the drive so much more comfortable and quiet. At the rear of our car, you do find quite prominent the signature called EQA 250. Important here is there will be different cars coming, not only 250, so just remember EQA. And then, as with the front, we do not only find LED lamps, we also find this light bar here running from one side to the other, and we have splitter taillights, and that gives you a wider boot to open, and on the other hand, a very nice signature which really shows you this is a very modern car. And then we do have, as with the front, a completely revised bumper, which is better regarding to the drag coefficient, and we have this chrome part here, and that part really reminds me of standard exhaust pipes.
The EQA 250 is available from 47,540 euros in the progressive version. Also available are Electric Art and AMG line versions or the Night package. The Special Model Edition 1 is based on the AMG line and offers a particularly extensive range of equipment at a price of 8,520 euros.
The EQA should take 17.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometer driven and should deliver a range of a maximum of 426 kilometers. When we started our drive, we saw that the car offers a bit less than 400, which I still think is quite fair. And then when we drove, we saw similar numbers to what the data sheet says. But we're in Stuttgart, so which means we go up and down from time to time. And then you can also see that if you go up, of course, this number increases quickly. And if you go down again, that number decreases quickly. And at the end of the day, we had something which is about 19 point whatever as an average after about 60 kilometers of a drive, which I still think is quite a fair number. But on the other hand, we drove, I would say, more easy than sporty. Until now, you could only buy two different fully electric Mercedes models, which are the EQC, which is an SUV, and the EQV, which is the electric V-Class. But now things change, because now you're going to find a more compact version, which is the new Mercedes EQA. And they do promise more than 400 kilometers of range, and they say this is the new entrance model for the electric world of Mercedes. That was my first test drive in the new Mercedes EQA, so the new entrance model of the electromobility world of Mercedes-Benz. And I really have to say I do like the car a lot, because the car offers a very nice range, it offers a good consumption, and it on top offers the space you need for every day. And so the package really delivers a lot more than you need for your day-to-day driving.